we chat for a second? I have tried to tame this pumpkin multiple times a week. It is growing so fast, I can't keep up with it. And you know, I should have known because the name of this pumpkin, it's called Pumpkin Patch. I planted one. This is just one part of it. It is equally large on the inside of my fence. It's planted 6 feet away from the fence and has decided that it's gonna go through the fence across my front yard, and it's still going. So I figured, let's talk about growing pumpkins. So this is the pumpkin. For size reference, that's my house. So it is very large and lots of growing tips. It just keeps vining and vining. We have lots of male flowers. And then we also have this is another growing tip right here. So this plant has decided it wants to vine into the sidewalk. Now, I tried to train it onto my fence, but has decided it's gonna just continue and do its own thing. Now, this plant has gone down that way. It started over there. And it's gone that way. And we have some pumpkins in here. There's one right there. There's another one to the side. And some of this damage is from our heat wave. So it's a little bit weathered, but that's the center of the plant. And as expected at this point in the season, the leaves would look like that. But as you get closer, it is really healthy. I haven't done anything special. I haven't sprayed anything, but we got lots of pumpkins still going. Now, this is a male flower that has already done its duty to provide pollen. And here we have a female flower that hopefully got pollinated and we'll get another pumpkin. Not like I need more pumpkins. At this point, it's taking over my front yard, so we might as well get as many pumpkins as we possibly can. So, I don't know if you know this about pumpkins, but they're really spiny. I don't know if you can see that. These actually hurt. So I really don't like managing pumpkin vines. This one looks like it took. This one looks like it did not take. And here's another, look, here's one growing tip. There's another growing tip. And I've tried to train it to go up, but it's not going up. It is going out. I'm probably gonna have to put my gauntlet gloves on because I don't want this to touch me, and also long sleeves, and just try to train it better because my neighbors walk here, the dogs pee, they mark their territory, and I don't know, I don't want to be growing pumpkins into the street. So, gotta fix that. Let's take a minute and talk about growing pumpkins. Now, there are so many types of pumpkins. There are the very giant ones where they have contests of who can have the heaviest pumpkin. At the World Champion Pumpkin Weigh-Off in 2024, the winning pumpkin was 2,471 pounds. And one of the smaller varieties are the Jack B. Littles and Wee Bee Little. Those guys are only 3 to 4 inches wide and about 2 to 3 inches tall. So the one I'm growing is called Patch for Kids. I was calling it Pumpkin Patch, but the official name is Patch for Kids. And you can see why. You plant one and you literally have a pumpkin patch at home. So it's supposed to be a small to mid-sized pumpkin, and we'll find out in a few weeks when they all finish. Last year, I did grow a giant pumpkin on this Gracie arbor that I have, and it did end up falling down because I knew it was gonna be a big pumpkin, but I didn't realize how big it was gonna be, and I had a lot of trouble lifting it myself. I never got to weigh it because it did fall and crack. I tried to seal it with some candle wax, and it kind of worked. It held off for a little bit, but I ended up just giving it to my chickens to eat eventually. But There are kind of two broad categories for pumpkins. There's the carving pumpkins that you would use to make a jack-o'-lantern, and then there's the eating pumpkins. Now, there are some that are kind of in between that you can use as decor as long as you don't cut it open, and also be really good eating pumpkins. I didn't grow any this year, but I thought we could talk about a few of them. If you love pumpkin, there's 3 that I've seen as decor and eating pumpkins, and there's Cinderella, Fairy Tale, and Jardale. Jardale I love because it's this kind of blue with a little frosty look on it. It's so cool in decor, but I personally love that you can actually eat it. There's also one more that's called Musqué de Provence, and that one's known for its rich, deep flavor. So if you're seeing pumpkins in the store, it's actually time to harvest them and not to plant them. Pumpkins take anywhere between 85 to 125 days on average to finish. So that means the moment you start planting that seed and it germinates, you need 85 days for the smaller ones and probably well over 120 for the larger pumpkins. So make sure you save this video for the spring when you start planting your pumpkins. I don't experience true frost in my coastal California Zone 10B, so I can actually grow them pretty early in the year. However, you do want to try to time it so your pumpkins finish in the fall. If you do a back of the napkin calculation, 120 days is about 4 months. So you need about 4 months before October. You basically need to be planting in May and June at the latest. For those of you who have a much shorter grow season, you may want to start them indoors and plant them out after your last frost, and also have them finished before your first frost. Make sure you like and subscribe because I'm going to have a follow-up video when it's actually time to harvest these guys. Now, if you love pumpkin pie like me, a good pumpkin cheesecake is, by the way, Whole Foods has a fantastic one. Look for pie pumpkins. I'm hoping that these guys, based on the shape and the size, I'm hoping that they're suitable for a pie pumpkin. I don't think I mentioned it, but this is actually a test variety from Ball Seed. I'm on their list to receive plants and test out different plants. So this year, this was one of my favorites. There was a jalapeno they sent me that produced really, really well. These giant, beautiful jalapenos that didn't have any scarring on them. And also Sun Dipper, my favorite tomato. Definitely go watch my other videos when I talk about Sun Dipper and how I saved that plant. And if you like growing vegetables, or you just want to know a little bit more, definitely go check out my video for the 2026 brand new vegetable varieties that are coming out. I started growing pumpkins because they're really easy in my zone, and I think it's actually really fun. We have neighbors who walk by and they are always looking for updates on the size of the pumpkin. Last year, I had this giant one that was growing, and on their daily walks with their dogs and their kids, they would see how big this thing kept going. Now this year, can't really see the pumpkins as well, but they are under the leaves. And it also saves me some money from going to the fake pumpkin patches. Now, I get it. I live in LA and we don't really have a real pumpkin patch where it's still attached to the plant, where they didn't truck in all these pumpkins. And there's maybe only 1 or 2 locations that are about an hour away from me each direction. So there's one in Thousand Oaks area. That one is called Underwood Farms, and then there's another one called Tanaka Farms. My kids love it. There's hay rides, there's corn mazes, but you also can't leave without spending $20 to $40 on a pumpkin, depending on which one your child picks, because my kid obviously always wants the big one, and often it's by weight. So it kind of drives me nuts when these pumpkins are so large and they're just for show. Now, if it's one that I can eat, that's a different story, but still, when it's this easy, I just planted it in the soil. I didn't really amend it. I didn't do a whole lot. Stuck it in the ground. It's on drip irrigation that I haven't checked, and it's taken over. If you want something really easy that you can kind of set and forget, pumpkin's one of those. I need to go find my gloves and gear because my skin's sensitive to pumpkins, and I showed you how prickly they can be. Before we go, I'll probably show you again in spring, but let's talk about pollination really, really quick. in order to get pumpkins, you need a male flower and a female flower, and you need the pollen to transfer to the female flower from the male flower, and it also needs to be enough pollen and a complete enough pollination of the female flower for it to form a pumpkin. And then it has to grow for, I don't know, 60 days or so to finally get to the final pumpkin stage that you might purchase at the store. So that's it for this video. I gotta get taming this pumpkin. I either need to cut it or somehow fix it to my fence so it doesn't keep spilling over onto the sidewalk. So with that, I'll see you in the next video.